Hi there, welcome back to another episode of this and me talking about my own stupid made-up concept of the year of the werewolf. How are you? I hope things are good. Oh my god. We're PG-13 this week, guys. I'm sorry. It's St. Patrick's Day and I just wanted to wear my green shirt, but the shirt that goes under it is, it's a little revealing. I'm sorry. So how are you? Are you having a good week? Did you have a good week? Are you looking forward to the weekend? I don't know if I am. I think I am. I'm looking forward to dinner tonight. Reuben's. Probably one of the best sandwiches on the planet. So I'm making gigantic, juicy, drippy Reuben's. And I'm going to eat the crap out of them. If it seems like I'm stalling on the werewolf stuff, it's because I am a little bit. I was enjoying 2 really good weeks where I enjoyed myself. I had some good movies, I had some great books, and I knew it was going to end. Logically, I knew it wasn't going to last. I knew I was going to get disappointed, and it happened. This week was not great. I read a good book, but the movie situation is a mess. It's a mess, and I'm not happy about it, so let's get into it. The book that I read this week is Dog Days O Summer by James Newman and Allan Gunnells. There's the cover. Excuse me, it's really dry in here. I liked this book. It played a little bit with the mythology of the werewolf and transformations and what causes it and stuff like that. And it was a fresh take. The monster stuff was good. Think a little bit like the movie Stand By Me meets the werewolf or the Wolfman. That's kind of what's going on here. It's not super new, but it was an enjoyable read. I liked every second of it. I liked the werewolf. I liked the man that turns into the werewolf. He, does that thing where he descends from good man into the beast taking over and becomes a bit of a creepazoid. I think the thing with me, and this is a me thing, this has nothing to do, I am a huge fan of James Newman. I love all his books. I think I've read one book by Allan Gunnells and knew I liked him too. I like these writers. It's just, for me, I don't love reading books where kids are our main characters, just because I think it's a me thing. It's my own messed up childhood thing where having to answer to parents stresses me out. It's not enjoyable. But having said that, I did like this book. I completely, totally recommend it. Great monster thing. This is a great piece to include in the werewolf pantheon. In the year of the werewolf, this book deserved to be read. This book deserves to be mentioned. Dog Days O Summer. Check it out. Put out by Unnerving Press. Of course, this will all be down below in the description. Absolutely read this book. Now, so here's the thing. My husband does not share my love of the werewolf. A lot of people don't. Most of my friends don't. Even my horror friends, they don't. Werewolves just aren't that popular even within the horror genre, which is why I did this. This is like almost everything I do. It's not popular, but I'm entertaining myself. I want to bring more attention to, first of all, werewolf books and stories, because they need to be talked about more, and I admire the hell out of any writer that decides to tackle this, knowing werewolves just aren't that popular. And, I mean, damn, the books that I've read so far this year have all been exceptional, with the exception of the one that was a little too YA for me, but even then, the monster stuff in that book was fantastic. The writers who decide to take this on, they're pulling this thing out of the trenches with their teeth. They are kicking its ass. Fantastic talent on display here. When I recommend a book, I mean it. The thing you should know is I am easy to please. I'm not going to be a tough critic on anybody. And even if I'm being 100% truthful about a book, I'm still easy to please. I like most things, and I want to be that way, but I'm not going to recommend a book to you that I absolutely hate. I just won't talk about it, most likely. But the fact that I am talking about these books means that I really think they deserve to be shouted out. And with the movie thing, I just think there's a long history of werewolves kind of being disrespected in the realm of movies. I think werewolves aren't getting a fair shake. And while I also think that's true by and large of vampires as well, and ghosts, and maybe zombies too, monsters as a whole kind of get disrespected. And there are certain filmmakers of the super low budget variety, so low budget that I would honestly categorize them as more DIY, where there's no budget and they're doing everything themselves. There's a renegade spirit at work there that I really admire. I'm playing with this. That's what's making that noise. I'll put it down. Sorry. There's a renegade spirit at work there that I really admire. And that renegade spirit, it mixes really well with horror. The problem is I think a lot of people who don't understand the horror genre, who don't have a historical context of the horror genre, the history of it, the meaning of it. Because in literature, the written word versus movies, horror means two very different things. It's much more exploitative on screen than it is in the written word. That's not saying that it isn't in the written word, and that's not saying that I disapprove of any of them. I like when horror is fun and kind of trashy sometimes, and I just think we're missing out with these lower budget horror movies sometimes, actual storytellers. Some of these lower budget horror movies are making the movies and just, oh, it's about monsters and topless women. That's what we're getting. And they forget to tell me a story in the process. And that's very annoying to me. And I notice it's a big thing with werewolves in particular. And I wanted to sacrifice my time, sacrifice the already frayed remnants of my sanity, and try to find werewolf movies that are worth watching. And the reason why I'm doing it on Tubi, knowing full well there's going to be more bad than good, is because I want to find that DIY budget movie where there's an actual storyteller behind it who, despite limitations of budget, despite limitations of effects, still manages to deliver something I enjoy. That's why it makes me so happy to share those with you. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is it's werewolf night in this house on Thursday because my husband goes to D&D on Thursday and I have the TV to myself. So occasionally one of my kids will come down and be like, I'm going to go do something else. I don't want to watch this thing. Nobody shares my love of this. And I always look forward to it. But last night was kind of particularly brutal because I watched 2 movies. I usually try to watch 2 movies. And the great thing about Tubi is, when you load up the Tubi screen, you get that bunny popping out of the hole. It's a rabbit hole kind of thing. And that's nice sometimes, except apparently when you're trying to watch werewolf movies. So I'm not going to name the movies that I watched last night because one of them was very low budget. I don't think it was quite DIY budget, but it was very low budget. And it was dog shit. I'm just going to say it. It was dog shit. I will say, though, this movie, when I watch bad movies for the Ghost Writers podcast, and when I watch movies for the Ghost Writers podcast, when I know that there's going to be a long opening credits scene where it's just aesthetic shots with the credits rolling through, I get on my phone and I go to IMDb and I'm reading the reviews for the movie because I think those are funny and they give you a good taste of what's to come. And so I don't watch them. But when I'm watching the werewolf movies for this, I pay close attention to opening credits because there is something I'm looking for. And this movie had it. And I was very happy to see it. It was extensive recognition of makeup and effects. When it comes to werewolves, that's very important. That's almost as important as storytelling. The storytelling is still the most important, but effects and makeup. And I'm going to be honest, for a low budget movie, they were good. They weren't great, and they did a transformation scene in a well-lit kitchen. No. Take advantage of low lighting, people, especially if you've got a small budget. That was a mistake. It was bad. But the werewolves look good. They did that thing that A Werewolf in London did, or A Werewolf in England. What the hell is that movie called? I'll figure it out. I'll put it below. I'll stick it on the screen or something. But where the werewolves look different. They didn't all look the same. They, like, one werewolf looked like Sebastian Bach. It had really long blonde hair. The other one was a completely black werewolf with, like, a weird puffy mane. And the other werewolf was mostly hairless. It kind of looked like Baphomet. You know, that guy. And I like that. I like that attention to detail. And the gory effects, like when the werewolves would kill somebody, were a throwback of like old cheap 70s horror, where it's not quite neat, but there's something kind of sicky, icky about it, but also funny and cheap. There were parts of the movie, like the effects I liked, the story I hated, and there's something the first and second movie had in common, and it's a recurring nightmare of mine when it comes to werewolf movies, is if you're going to make a werewolf movie, can it please be about werewolves? Please? So, the first movie, yes, I was completely annoyed by the end of it. I was not in a good mood when I started the second movie. The second movie had a much bigger budget. Not Hollywood levels, but it was a much bigger budget. It actually had big names in it. And I've wrestled with this because I kind of want to tell you the title, but I don't want to be mean to anybody. I will say, if you want to look it up yourself, it's from 2020, and it doesn't star, but it has Thomas Jane, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say. If you want to, you'll be able to find it very easily. The title is very obvious that it's a werewolf movie. This one, again, it's not that it's not about werewolves. It just takes until the end to figure out that it was about werewolves. And again, the creature effects, they weren't bad. They weren't great. They weren't bad. The story, yeah, I didn't like it. And the acting kind of was bad. And it had, I mean, there are other actors in this movie that are kind of, they have a horror pedigree to them. They're not new to this. And it just, I wasn't happy. And it might have been partially because of the first movie. I'm telling you, that first movie just annoyed the shit out of me. And the second one, maybe I didn't give it a fair shake. I'll be honest, maybe I didn't. I don't think that's the case. I just think it was bad. So that's what we're dealing with this week. Dog Days O Summer, and that is O Summer, not of Summer. Be sure to check that out. Great book. I don't have any good movies this week. I don't think I'll be talking about a book next week because I'm currently reading the new Mary San Giovanni release, Aliens, Enemy of My Enemy. And it's a big book, so that's going to take me a while to get through. I don't think I'll have time to squeeze in an entire werewolf book. But the search continues for that Diamond in the Rough movie. I'm not done. I'm in a bad mood about it today, but I'm not done. I am not down and out. And that'll be it this week. I know I rambled a lot. I'm very sorry. It's just, if you are a fan of werewolves and you get this and you're here, thank you for not letting me feel so damned alone in this weirdness. And there are others who aren't here who I know love werewolves, and I'm just so thankful because I've always kind of been the odd man out. And it's weird being a weirdo amongst weirdos, if you know what I mean. The horror genre has always been looked down upon. Always, you know, you've been told you're a weirdo more than once if you're a fan. If you're a creator of horror, you get different kinds of talks that suggest you're a weirdo. But it's nice not to feel alone. So if you're here and you love werewolves, thank you for being here. I hope you're checking out the stuff I'm recommending because there's good stuff out there. There's good books out there. And I'm trying on the movie front. I am. And when I find something, I'll share it. Otherwise, I'm not going to bring anybody's name down. I'm not going to be mean to these, because the amount of work that goes into making even a ridiculously cheap movie, I can't imagine. I don't know enough about it, but I do know it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of resources. So I'm not going to sit here and drag anybody's name through the mud. But if they do a good job, I will be more than happy. I will be ecstatic to sing their praises. So that's it for this week. I will see you next week. I hope the world is treating you well, and bye.